that the ISIS commander had been hiding in Africa while coordinating terrorist activities linked to the Islamic State group. And now in Kenya, a woman from the Wiki area in Kasarani, Nairobi County is fighting for her life following an alleged brutal attack by unknown gunmen. Rachel Wandeto, who went viral for tattooing President William Samoei Ruto's face on her chest, has been hospitalized after allegedly being attacked by masked men. Wandeto was rushed to Zima High Hospital after being rescued by civilians, with photos of her condition sparking outrage on social media. Netizens flocked to the comment section to express their disappointment and anger, with many calling for investigations to ensure the suspects are brought to justice. Elsewhere, Somalia has plunged deeper into political uncertainty after outgoing President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud declared that his presidency would continue until May 2027. The announcement came only hours after high-stakes negotiations between the federal government and opposition leaders collapsed at Mogadishu's Halen compound. The opposition argued that Sheikh Mohammed's constitutional mandate had expired and that he no longer held legitimate authority. Mohammed recently insisted that the constitutional amendments recently approved by the parliament had extended the presidential term from 4 years to 5, effectively granting him another year in office. And outside of Africa, a 38-year-old man has been killed in a shark tank at Rottnest Island, which is a popular holiday destination off Perth in Western Australia. Australia has seen a recent rise in shark attacks that scientists believe could be caused by a change in the animal's migratory patterns amid increasingly crowded waters and warming oceans. Police said the man was carried to the shore and was treated at the scene by paramedics from the St. John Ambulance Service, but could not be revived. There have been nearly 1,300 shark incidents around Australia since 1791, of which more than 260 were fatal, according to a database that records such incidents. We've got more stories coming up on Globe File this afternoon. Still to come, Russian President Putin set to meet Xi Jinping in China.
You can listen to Adami Mogo 93.1 FM from any part of the world. Download the Adami Mogo 931 FM app from Google Play Store and Radio Garden, and follow us on Adami Mogo 93.1 FM on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you have eyewitness stories, clips exclusive to share, contact the Adami Mogo FM newsroom via mail at newsroom@adamimogofm.com, or you can dial 070-634-03583. You can dial 090-319-69629. Adami Mogo 93.1 FM Lagos, voice of the light.
Thank you for keeping it locked on to Globe File. Now, Russia's President Vladimir Putin will pay an official visit to China from May 19th to the 20th. A statement by Kremlin said both leaders plan to further strengthen the comprehensive partnership and strategic cooperation between Moscow and Beijing. President Putin is also scheduled to discuss economic and trade cooperation with Chinese Premier Li Qiang. News of Putin's forthcoming trip arrives one day after United States President Donald Trump departed China following the first presidential visit to Beijing in almost a decade. In the meantime, Taiwan says it is an independent nation hours after U.S. President Donald Trump warned the democratic island against declaring formal independence. Trump wrapped up a state visit to Beijing on Friday, where Chinese President Xi Jinping had pressed him not to support Taiwan, which China claims it's part of its territory.
Will Taiwan feel more or less secure after your meetings with President Xi?
Neutral. Neutral.
Has the policy changed at all?
No, nothing's changed.
U.S. policy?
No, nothing's changed. I will say this. I'm not looking to have somebody go independent, and we're supposed to travel 9,500 miles to fight a war. I'm not looking for that. I want them to cool down. I want China to cool down.
However, Taiwan's foreign ministry said in a statement that it remains a sovereign and independent democratic nation and is not subordinate to the People's Republic of China. The ministry also insisted that U.S. arms sales were part of Washington's security commitment to Taiwan after Trump flagged that he was considering the issue. Elsewhere, Israel has continued to attack Lebanon after Lebanese and Israeli negotiators agreed to a 45-day extension to an earlier ceasefire. The Israeli army confirmed it has begun striking alleged Hezbollah sites in southern Lebanon hours after the so-called ceasefire was extended. The announcement also comes shortly after the army issued forced evacuation notices for 9 towns in Lebanon.
They're not on vacation. These people are here because they've left their neighborhoods after Israel warned that they were going to be striking these specific buildings. They were released on maps and some instructions in Arabic. And following that, we've seen at least 2 strikes here in the city of Tyre. I think people here are very frustrated that even though this statement released by the U.S. State Department says that there's going to be an extension of the cessation of hostilities for 45 days, but that doesn't mean that people are going to be safe, that they're going to be able to go back with their daily lives.
Meanwhile, a professor at the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies, Mohammed Al-Masri, says Hezbollah is not part of the ceasefire talks between Israel and Lebanon, hence the continued attacks. Now to football. Chelsea are closing in on an agreement to make former Real Madrid coach Xabi Alonso their new manager. The Blues are expected to ratify the appointment of Alonso after the FA Cup final today. According to reports, Chelsea's focus is solely on the FA Cup final, but things are expected to move quickly after the fixture when advanced talks will resume. Alonso looks set to beat out Fulham's Marco Silva and Donny Irola, Oliver Glasner, and ex-Flamengo chief Felipe Luis. And that's Global, but before we bring it all to an end, here's a recap of the biggest stories. We told you that President Bola Tinubu has confirmed the killing of an ISIS top commander identified as Abu Bilal al-Minoki in a fresh US-Nigeria joint operation. We also told you that Somalia has plunged deeper into political uncertainty after outgoing President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud declared that his presidency, which is considered expired by the opposition, would continue until May 2027. Finally, we told you that Russian President Vladimir Putin is to pay an official visit to China from the 19th to 20th of May for high-level conversations with President Xi Jinping. Globe File was put together by Ayu Adike. Join us at 6 o'clock for stories from across the nation and the globe on Adami Mogo 93.1 FM Lagos. I am Sam Olugbeminiyi. Thanks for listening. Good afternoon.